Hello, everyone. If constant pings steal your time, if your mind jumps between tabs like a restless bird, if you finish days feeling busy but not proud, then this lesson is meant for you. You are about to learn a step-by-step system to build stable attention and deep work in the real world, with methods that stand on cognitive science and field-tested routines. This is a practical system that treats attention like a trainable skill, not a fixed trait. And it works because the brain adapts to the drills you repeat, just like muscles adapt to load. So stay to the end, because if you apply what you learn here, your mind will feel quieter, your work will feel cleaner, and your days will stack into results that last. Let's train your laser mind. If you have ever tried to focus and felt your thoughts scatter, here is the brutal truth. Your environment, your devices, and your untrained mental habits are shaping your attention every minute. Whether you like it or not, the default mode is drift. The trained mode is direction. Attention is like a spotlight on a dark stage. Most people wave it around so nothing looks clear. You will learn to hold it still, then move it on purpose. Think of your brain like a computer with limited RAM. Open too many tabs and you thrash. Close the noise and you get speed. Habits are like paths in a field. Walk the same route every day, and the grass lies down. Today, you will lay new paths. Step 1. Build your focus baseline. Here is a brutal truth. You cannot grow what you do not measure. If you cannot tell a focused hour from a scattered hour, you will confuse effort with progress. Let me explain why this happens. Your sense of time stretches when you switch tasks, because each switch adds a hidden mental tax. Imagine a chef who chops one carrot, checks a message, warms a pan, reads a comment, and returns to the carrot. Dinner never lands on the table. That is exactly what happens in your mind when you bounce between work units. Let's say you sit to write a report. You open your notes, then peek at a chat, then back to the report, then a thought about coffee, then email. You worked for an hour, but your brain did not stay on the same cognitive rail for more than 2 minutes. Why? Because switching gives a small hit of novelty that feels like progress, but breaks the chain of reasoning that real work needs. Now imagine this. You keep a simple tally of focused minutes that meet one rule. One target, one timer, one context. You log only minutes where you stayed with the target. You start with short blocks, then extend. Now you see your real capacity, and you can train it like a runner trains distance. From now on, whenever you want to work with force, start a 15-minute single target block. Write the task in 7 words or less, and mark only clean minutes. Because clarity and measurement turn fog into a line you can climb. Step 2. Design the stage, not just the actor. Here is a brutal truth. Willpower is a bad bouncer in a club full of flashing lights. If the stage is loud, the actor cannot perform. Let me explain why this happens. The attentional system orients to novelty and salience. Imagine a motion detector in a quiet room. Any small movement triggers a turn of the head. That is your brain in a world of notifications. That is exactly why you lose flow when your phone is face up, even if it is silent. Let's say you try deep work with your phone near your keyboard. You think it is fine because you will ignore it, but your spotlight twitches at every unknown. Why? Because the brain treats the possibility of a message as a pending task. Now imagine this. You strip the stage before you step on it. You set one screen, one app, one document. You put your phone in another room, or at least face down and out of reach. You set your music to a single instrumental playlist that never changes during work. So your brain links that sound to focus. Now the stage is quiet, and the actor can act. From now on, whenever you start a session, remove 3 sources of novelty before you begin. Phone location, desktop clutter, and tab count. because environment beats intention when they fight. Step 3. Train the spotlight with breath counting. Here's what most people never realize. You can practice attention as a closed skill before you use it as an open skill. Closed means controlled conditions. Open means real-life chaos. Let me explain why this works. Imagine a weightlifter who practices the movement slowly to ingrain form, then adds speed and load. Your breath is that slow movement for attention. That is exactly how you build stability before you push into complex tasks. Let's say you try this drill. Sit upright, relaxed. Count your exhale from 1 to 10. Then back to 1. If you lose the count, start again. Use a 5-minute timer. Why does this help? Because you create a clean feedback loop. You notice the moment your mind wanders, and you return without drama. Now imagine this. You do 5 minutes daily for a week, then 10 minutes. You do not chase calm. You train return. Now your spotlight learns to come back on command. From now on, before heavy work, run a 5-minute breath counting warm-up touch, because a trained return is worth more than a forced hold. Step 4. Use time sprints with recovery. Here is a brutal truth. Endless work creates brittle focus. The mind, like a muscle, needs intervals. Let me explain why this happens. The alertness system fatigues with continuous demand. Imagine a camera operator holding a steady shot without a tripod. The arms shake over time. That is exactly why your focus fades after 20 to 40 minutes. Let's say you try a 25-minute sprint with a 5-minute break. You stand, breathe, look far away and do a quick stretch. Then you run another sprint. Why does this beat a long block? Because recovery resets your capacity and prevents cognitive drift. Now imagine this. You adjust sprint length to the task. For analysis or writing, try 50 minutes on and 10 minutes off. Once you have a baseline. For planning or coding spikes, 90 minutes can work after training. Now your day has rhythm, not sludge. From now on, schedule sprints on your calendar like meetings. Protect them, because time boxes turn focus from a mood into an appointment. Step 5. Apply the cue, action reward. Here is the secret that peak performers use. They do not wait for motivation. They automate the first minute. Let me explain why this works. Habits wire through consistent cues that trigger a script. Imagine a path through grass. Each pass presses it flatter. That is exactly what happens when you pair a cue with the start of deep work. Let's say you pick a cue, like a specific mug or a certain pen, and a single song you use only for focus. You sit, put the mug on the left, press play, open the document, and write one sentence that defines your target. Why does this click? Because the brain predicts the routine and moves without friction. Now imagine this. You keep a tiny reward at the end of each sprint, like a sip of good tea, a stand and stretch, or a mark on your focus log. The cue opens the door. The action walks through. The reward closes the loop. From now on, install a ritual that takes 60 seconds, because rituals shrink the cost of starting, which is the highest cost you pay. Step 6. Use task scoping to prevent overload. Here is a brutal truth. Vague tasks kill focus. Your mind cannot grip fog. Let me explain why this happens. Working memory holds limited items, and ambiguity multiplies them. Imagine trying to hold water in your hands. It slips through the gaps of a bad container. That is exactly what happens when your task is finish project. Let's say you scope the task into a concrete verb, an object, and a boundary. For example, draft section 2, 600 words, outline on screen. Why does this help? Because your spotlight can lock onto a clear shape and ignore the rest until later. Now imagine this. You write the next small action. at the end of each sprint. So your next session starts rolling. Now, momentum survives the night. From now on, rewrite big tasks into actions you can finish in 30 to 90 minutes. Because completion feeds motivation, and motivation feeds focus. Step 7. Practice distraction. Immunity with label and park. Here is what most people never realize. You cannot stop thoughts by force, but you can redirect them by name. Let me explain why this works. Naming moves mental content from reflex to choice. Imagine a dog that pulls on the leash. You do not chase it. You stop, name the pull, guide the leash toward the path. That is exactly how you treat intrusive thoughts. Let's say a worry shows up mid-sprint. You say quietly, planning thought. Then write one line in a parking list and return to the line of work. Why does this help? Because the brain trusts you will return later, so it stops shouting. Now imagine this. Your parking list sits next to your keyboard, paper or digital, always in the same place. It becomes a safety valve for mental pressure. From now on, label, park, return, because elegant attention is not empty. It is guided. Step 8. Train alternating and selective attention. Here's one of the most powerful techniques in history. You train focus types directly, like a musician trains scales. Let me explain. Attention has modes: focused, sustained, selective, alternating, divided. Imagine a toolbox. Each tool does one job better than a general tool. That is exactly how task practice should look. Let's say you want selective attention for reading dense text. You run a drill where you highlight only claims, then only evidence, then only counterpoints, one pass each. Why? Because single criterion passes sharpens selectivity without overload. For alternating attention, run a drill where you code for 15 minutes, then document for 5, then back, keeping a clean state note in between. Now imagine this. You schedule 2 drills per week to target your weak mode. Over a month, your versatility rises and real work feels lighter. From now on, train the mode you use the least. Because balanced attention prevents fatigue from one style of thinking. Step 9. Build deep work, blocks with entry and exit notes. Here's what most people never realize. The first and last 2 minutes control your whole block. Let me explain why. Entry sets the path. Imagine a plane taking off and landing. The climb and descent require the most care. That is exactly how cognitive blocks behave. Let's say at entry you write a 3-line intent. Target, definition of done, first action. At exit you write a 3-line status. What changed? What is next? What to ignore? Why does this work? Because you store context outside your head, so you restart fast without rewarming. Now imagine this. Over days, your notes become a breadcrumb trail through complex projects. From now on, never start without entry notes, and never stop without exit notes, because continuity compounds like interest. Step 10. Protect sleep, movement, and fuel. Here is a brutal truth. No technique can outrun a tired brain. Let me explain why. Attention runs on biology. Imagine a flashlight with a weak battery. The beam flickers no matter how you aim it. That is exactly why you struggle when you cut sleep, skip movement, or ride on sugar. Let's say you set a hard stop for screens. 1 hour before bed, take a 10-minute daylight walk before noon, and eat stable meals with protein and fiber. Why does this matter? Because arousal control, visual entrainment, and glycemic stability support sustained focus. Now imagine this. You treat sleep like the top project in your calendar. Your working hours become sharper with less force. From now on, schedule biology first, because a clear beam starts with a full battery. Immediate practice. Right now, pause and run this 3-step drill. Step 1. Do a 5-minute breath count. Warm up and log your count resets. Step 2. Do a 15-minute single target sprint with the phone in another room, one document open, and an entry note on top right. Step 3. Write an exit note and one next action that fits in 30 minutes. Did you feel the difference in control and calm? That is the feeling of trained attention. Practical scenarios. If you write, scope 1 page per sprint and end each session by writing the next subtitle. If you code, write a small test first, then implement only the code that satisfies the test in one sprint. If you study, read in passes. First scan the structure, then extract key terms, then explain the core idea in your own words. If you lead meetings, send a 1-page brief before, and assign one owner per outcome. So attention does not diffuse. If you learn languages, do short listening drills and loops and shadow lines, with a transcript to train selective attention to sounds. Advanced techniques. Try stimulus, control windows. Put all message checks into 3 windows per day, close the rest. Try attention fasting on Sundays. No feeds, long walk, pen and paper planning. Try a context bar on your monitor with your single current verb in large text. Try friction ramps. Add tiny steps to any app you want to use less, like signing out each time, so the immediate cost kills the impulse. Try a boredom set. Do simple breathing or a wall stare for 3 minutes when you feel the itch to switch, so you train comfort with low stimulation. Mindset anchors. Focus is not tense. It is relaxed precision. You aim, you breathe, you hold, you adjust. You do not punish lapses, you return. The return is the rep that builds the muscle. You are not behind. You are in training. Common pitfalls and fixes. If you chain back-to-back sprints without breaks, your quality drops. Fix by walking to a window and staring at a far object to reset the eye and mind. If you inflate blocks to heroic lengths, you will avoid starting. Fix by shrinking to 15 minutes and stacking from there. Majors say, if you keep vague goals, you will snack on tasks. Fix by scoping with verbs and boundaries. If you allow random pings, you will bleed minutes. Fix by moving your phone and installing message windows. If you treat thoughts as enemies, you will fight yourself. Fix by label and park. Weekly progression plan. Week 1. 2 sprints per day at 15 minutes. 5 days, plus daily 5-minute breath. Week 2. 3 sprints per day at 25 minutes. 1 50-minute block. Midweek. Week 3. 4 sprints per day at 25 minutes. 2 50-minute blocks. Install entry and exit notes. Week 4. Maintain or add 1 90-minute block for deep creation. Twice a week with strong recovery. Review your focus log on Friday and choose one constraint to tighten next week. Real people, real methods. A novelist uses a ritual mug, a single playlist, and starts every session by summarizing yesterday's scene in 3 lines. Then writes the next line without editing. A software engineer runs a test-first sprint, keeps a parking list for ideas, and alternates coding and documenting to prevent tunnel vision. A surgeon rehearses steps in mental imagery the night before, then uses a pre-op checklist that acts like entry notes, while the exit briefing preserves lessons for the next case. Different fields. Same pattern. Metaphor bank to remember. Attention is a spotlight that you stabilize. The brain is a computer with limited RAM that you protect. Emotions are fire. You use a stove, not a bonfire. Habits are paths. You stamp them smooth with repetition. Short-term memory is a whiteboard. You write, then you save into notes before someone wipes it. Long-term learning is a library. Label the spine with clear cues so you can find the book later. Daily operating procedure. Choose the top 1 target for the morning. Run a 5-minute warm-up. Do 2 sprints before you touch messages. Take a recovery break. Do 1 admin window. After lunch, do 1 long block on creation or study. Close the day with a 10-minute review and write tomorrow's first action. Keep your phone away until the first 2 sprints are done. Monthly reset. Audit your focus log. Identify your top 2 distractors and install friction. Replace 1 entertainment slot with a learning slot you enjoy, not just tolerate. Clean your workspace and remove 1 device from your desk. Refresh your playlist. Rewrite your cue ritual if it feels stale. Reflection and identity. Do not say, I am bad at focus. Say, I am an operator who runs a system. You are not chasing motivation. You are building a craft. The craft of attention is a daily practice, with results you can feel in the weight of finished work. Let's review what we learned. Step 1. Measure a clean, focused baseline to make progress visible. Step 2. Design the stage so the actor can perform without noise. Step 3. Train return, with breath counting as a closed skill drill. Step 4. Use time sprints with real recovery to prevent drift. Step 5. Automate starting with cue action reward rituals. Step 6. Scope tasks into concrete verbs and boundaries. Step 7. Label and park distractions to keep flow. Step 8. Train attention. Step 9. Protect entry and exit notes for continuity. Step 10. Support attention with sleep, movement, and steady fuel. If you apply these steps daily for 4 weeks, you will double your clean focused minutes and feel calmer during work. With fewer switches and clearer outputs you can show. More than that, you will become the person who can aim attention on demand, which is a superpower in any field. Remember, this lesson was not just about focus. It also trained your English through clear steps, simple metaphors, and active instructions woven into real scenarios. Every sentence aimed to be useful and learnable. If this helped you, subscribe right now. We do not just teach focus. We train minds that build things. Stay with this craft, and your days will start to shine with work that feels like your best.